Hello everyone, Cold Open here to tell you a little bit about Intelligent Speech. Intelligent Speech is an online conference happening this year on November 4th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the theme this year is Contingencies, when history meets the backup plan. It's going to have a large number of great speakers. It'll have 3 keynotes, 8 roundtables, and 32 individual sessions in 4 separate virtual rooms, and we are going to be one of the speakers, together with many other brilliant podcasts you've certainly heard of, such as Daniele Bolelli, Trevor from History of Persia, and several other sibling Rexipods. The tickets are normally $30, but if you act now, you'll be able to get a $20 early bird special. But not only that, as listeners of the show, you'll be able to have an extra 10% discount on this price if you use the code RULE at checkout. R-U-L-E, RULE. We'll be participating in 2 panels and have our very own slot where we'll be talking to you about Alexander's side gig, dragon slaying, the waters of life, and talking to trees. So it's everything you've ever wanted to know about Alexander the Destroyer in the Shahnameh and in Iranian tradition. What does he get up to? Well, it's a lot of weird stuff. But anyway, on with the show.
Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Rule Persia, the podcast where we rate and review all the kings of Persia from Diocles to Yazdegerd III. I'm Serial, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Umberto, and my pronouns are he, him. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 48, which is Vonones I.
Vonones.
A new name. Hooray.
Honestly, yeah.
New names are always fun.
Really excited about it.
We'll see. So, yeah, last time we had a very, very short-lived king. You were not very impressed. Rightly so.
I didn't have much of a chance to be impressed. Like, it's always funny when we get these episodes, but I also did not know. Like, you didn't give me a heads up or anything at the beginning.
No.
It was just like, yeah, normal episode. Oh, whoops, it's over now.
Yeah, whoops, he did. Do you have high hopes for Vonones, or do you think it's just going to be another short one?
How would I know?
I don't know. Based on the situation, based on the fact that he's one of the sons that are coming from the west, and he was voted in by the nobles after
I'm
the last
wondering
one.
if he will get overthrown by another one of the brothers. But that could also take longer to happen, so I don't know.
Okay.
At least I hope he will be a bit more capable, because, in a way he was kind of, maybe not brought up to rule, but maybe yes. I don't know which one of the sons was supposed to be the heir before we got
Well,
Musa.
it was unclear which was kind of the issue.
Yeah.
Everybody was sort of equally brought up to succeed.
Yeah, well,
equally not.
Hey, that just means that at least all of them have a chance,
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see how they fare.
Okay, so, well, with these expectations, let's just look back briefly on what happened in our last episodes, and then we can jump straight into our friend Vonones. So, first of all, we'll remember that the last couple episodes were Musa. Musa came in, sent a bunch of sons off to Rome. They stayed there. In exchange, Musa killed her husband, made her son and her rulers of the empire. As rulers of the empire, they sort of lost Armenia. It's more in a gray area than it was before, and it's kind of Romanish. It's not great. And for this, they were kicked out.
Armenia. Just let it go already.
Yeah, Armenia is always a political problem. Always a nightmare. But afterwards, due to this loss of Armenia, Phratakis and Musa were deposed and replaced with Orodes III. The nobility immediately regretted having elected Orodes III.
Because they just pulled that out of their asses, and that's how it went.
Yeah. So it turns out he was horrible, and they just decided, okay, no, let's kill him. Hey, wait, guys,
Never
Rome,
mind,
can you just
actually.
send us a son, please? Okay, thanks, great. And that son is Vonones I, our friend from today. So let's find out what happened. To start with, Vonones was the eldest son of Phraates IV and a wife before Musa. So if we're going by purely primogeniture line of succession, he should have been the heir to the throne. So he's the one who should have succeeded if Musa hadn't interfered.
So hopefully, he's well prepared.
Yeah. Also, based on the fact that when he was sent off to Rome, he was married with children.
Oh.
And this was in about 10 BC, we can assume he was born somewhere in the 30s BC. Which means that by the time he takes the throne, he's roughly in his 40s.
Like, these weren't children that were sent to Rome for Rome to take care of them. I mean, these were grown men.
Yeah, they were specifically chosen because they were adults. The children got to stay home, which is why Phraates got to stay with Musa.
Right.
But, yeah, Vonones was, being the eldest, he was, married with children. He was old enough.
Did he get to take his family with him?
He did.
Okay, oh god.
No. They weren't left behind. Also, because they probably would have died shortly after.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And yeah, well, as you mentioned, despite his favorable theoretical place in the line of succession, he was not proclaimed heir by his father, but kept around in doubt. Because if you remember, Phraates IV killed his own father once the succession was secure, so, maybe he wanted to avoid having someone become too comfortable and kill him as soon as they're sure that they'll be the one to succeed. Which is sort of what happened in the end with Musa. But yeah, so Vonones, born in the Parthian court, is raised up. He gets somewhere to his 20s at the very least. He marries, he has children, and that's when he gets a new stepmom, who is probably about his age, which is Musa. Musa climbs the social ladder in Parthia and decides to exile Vonones and all his brothers to Rome so that, hey, they won't impede the succession. We've seen this story before. So Vonones is sent to Rome in 10 BC, and there he and his brothers are kept as honored guests of Augustus. Of course, Augustus makes a huge deal about the fact that he has these Parthian princes with him. He says, look, everybody, look how great we are. The Parthians are sending us their children as tribute. This means that they clearly recognize who's the best. Look at us. We're amazing. So much so that he decides to display these Parthian heirs behind him at all public events so that everybody can constantly be reminded that, hey, look, remember those Parthians, remember the banners we got back. Yeah, look at me, I'm Augustus, I'm great.
God, Augustus.
That's literally his title.
Listen, I know that the Roman Empire has all kinds, and that some of them are really, really bad. But Augustus rubs me the wrong way in such a way. Like,
I like Augustus, I have to say. He is terrible, but I love him.
I know that he's not one of the worst. Like, he does a lot and he lives a long time, and like it's genuinely an interesting figure. But like, I don't like him. Like, personally.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I mean, I think he's the type of person I don't like, but I like him for the fact that I don't like him.
Yeah, love to hate him.
Like, I appreciate the fact that he's a villain. It's like, yes.
But he is, right? Like, we can agree.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he destroys the Republic and makes everybody go along with it, but
yeah,
still, he is cool.
Totally, restoring the Republic. That's totally what I'm doing.
That's fine. Look at him.
Takes absolute power.
Yes, but the Senate voted him absolute power, so it's fine.
Listen, this is kind of how some elections nowadays happen, and that doesn't mean that the decision was actually, democratic.
But it means that you do have a shield against critics, which is what you need.
I guess.
But anyway, Vonones spends his time in Rome. He is apparently living there in luxury because he's not a hostage, he's just an honored guest. He lives there and he is quite happy and enjoys his time there. He spends his late 20s, early 30s there. He seems to enjoy a lot of Roman things. He seems to acclimate well to the new culture. He enjoys wine. He gets more accustomed to, the Roman side of living. He doesn't ride horses as often. He doesn't practice with his bow as often. He is just living as a nice, wealthy Roman nobleman, and he attends the parties of Augustus. He's enjoying himself.
Okay. Make the most out of what you have, I guess.
Yeah. The next we hear of him is when his father is murdered, because, well, Phraates IV is killed, and Musa succeeds to the throne. At this point, Augustus also gets a letter saying, "Hey, can you please send us the princes back? We just want to talk. No, it's okay. Don't worry about their safety. Just send them back, please."
Trust me.
Trust me, bro. It's okay.
I just want to talk.
Yeah. Augustus says, "No, I kind of like having these Parthian princes at my house. They're very decorative. I'll keep them here for a while. Thank you very much." And well, Phraates and Musa can't do much about this. They just say, "Okay, that's annoying, but fine. That's a shame."
Whatever, I guess.
And so Vonones remains in Rome for a few more years. An extra half a decade. He hears about the fall of Phraates and Musa. He hears that this new Orodes III has become king. This random guy, so is maybe a half-brother, maybe just a random cousin. He's succeeded. He hasn't done much. He's been executed. Done. And well, this is the point where, as we mentioned, Orodes is murdered by the Parthian nobility, and the nobles assemble a council and have a bit of a deliberation, because there are different parties among there that support different candidates. So in the end, it becomes the consensus that one of the sons of Phraates IV, so one of the exiled princes, should be the heir to the throne. It's unclear why they were chosen exactly, after they were fine with Orodes, who was more distant in the line of succession, but physically closer. But it's possible that maybe they were hoping that Vonones, being that one, Vonones or his brothers being further away, would be more impartial to political troubles in Parthia. So, they're not on the side of any one noble because they don't really know them very well. So they're going to be impartial and deal with everyone fairly.
Well,
it could be. Who knows? Alternatively, it could be that the pro-Roman party was dominant at the time, so there was a group of nobles that wanted closer ties with Rome, better relationships, and they thought, okay, Rome will be less likely to declare war on us or work against us if we have a friendly king, so getting one of the Roman princes is probably best. And the last option is that everyone else was so terrible that they decided, yeah, you know what, I'd rather have an unknown prince from far away rather than the idiots that we have here.
Well,
so whichever of these might have been. So they sent Jessica all the way to Rome, because we haven't seen her in a while. And Jessica, when she gets to Rome, is told, oh, P.S., go to Germania, where Tiberius is. He has the princes. Ask him. So Jessica goes all the way to Germania, meets Tiberius, and says, hey, can we please have one of Phraates IV's sons? We don't care which, just, one of them.
Choose your favorite.
Yeah, choose your favorite or least favorite, the one you most want to leave. And well, the Romans decide, we have no special favorites. Vonones, you're the oldest, you'll do. Congratulations, you're becoming king.
Huh. Interesting. Because, then it was left to the Romans to decide.
Yeah, the sources say that they just asked for a son of Phraates.
Huh.
Didn't say, oh, we want
I guess
Vonones
the nobles.
specifically.
I guess the nobles didn't care, but I feel like the Romans, being how they are, would definitely choose oh, you're more favorable towards Rome, you will do. They get to choose the next king.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's either that they didn't really care enough. It might be that they just didn't have a very high opinion of any of the princes, and they said, they're all spoiled Eastern princes. One is worth another. Who cares? You see them doing this in the late Republic with a lot of Hellenistic princes. They say, yeah, I don't care. Sure, you'll do. Just go be our subject. Bye-bye. So it could just be the general arrogance of the Romans saying, we don't care. Or maybe, yeah, indeed, Vonones maybe was the most favorable to the Roman side, or he was deemed somehow more capable than his brothers. So Vonones then takes a field trip together with Jessica, and he travels all the way from Germania to Parthia, where he is finally enthroned sometime in 8 AD. Which means that Parthia had like a couple years where he is technically king, but he wasn't physically in the country and he was just traveling. So
okay,
that was probably a period where the nobles were quite happy just doing whatever, because they were just waiting for their king to arrive. But yeah, finally Vonones arrives and he is deposited in Ctesiphon. He is crowned king. And, well, the nobles can now actually see who they chose for the king.
Yeah, surprise.
What do you think their opinion is?
Cool,
do you think the nobles will look favorably on Vonones, or do you think they'll be... Well, there's one thing you need to learn about Parthian nobles, Serial, is that they're never happy with the choice they've made.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. The nobles look at Vonones and say...
A very Roman-looking guy by now, I assume.
Yes, maybe. Exactly. Vonones has spent 15 years in Rome, and the nobles say, wait, who sent us a Roman? We thought we had a Parthian prince. Wait, this guy can barely ride a horse. He can't bullseye a lion from 100 meters away with a bow. Who is he? Also, he's not wearing pants. He's wearing a skirt. What is this?
Oh, right.
What are you doing, you freak? Also, he doesn't ride horses, he just gets carried around by servants in a litter. Like a weirdo. Like,
but also,
what are you doing?
I mean, like, he lived most of his life in Parthia. Come on.
Yeah, but he's lived his last 15 years in Rome, and he's adapted very well, apparently.
Alright. I see. Fair. No, fair. I mean, I've been living abroad for, like, half of that. And
yeah, if you were called to become the monarch of Spain.
Well, that was never like my, upbringing, or any.
That wasn't Vonones' upbringing either.
I mean, he was a prince. I beg to differ.
Yeah, still a prince among many. But yeah, so he's brought back, and all the nobles think, ew, they sent us a Roman. Send him back. We want a good one, actually. He's gross. And also, it just looks bad in general, because they hoped he was going to be an actual Parthian ruler, but if he's just going to be that obviously a Roman puppet, doesn't taste good. It's just like, it's just sad and terrible, and it doesn't leave a good precedent to just have basically Romans come to our country and rule us. That's not good. So the nobles begin their schemes once more, because they ordered him on Wish, and they got a bad product.
Well, that's what happens when you order online without, like, checking. They literally said, send us a prince. Like,
they were hoping they were all equally good, Serial.
I mean, like, and they might, but then, like, you don't get to complain. Excuse me?
Well, they do.
Yeah, no, of course they do. Like, first they leave it on the hands of the Romans. The Romans? To, like, to make the decision for them. And then they're like, oh, no, but not this one. Like, first, like, what?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is on them. And, like, not the prince's fault. I'm sorry.
I mean, Vonones probably just, did his best. Yeah. I feel like he tried. Also, it might just be that in the 2 years it took Vonones to travel from Germania all the way to Parthia, the political balance in the nobility may have changed. So whoever wanted a Roman prince in the first place was kicked out of power, and the new people thought, oh no, this was actually a bad idea. It sets a bad precedent to tell the Romans they could just nominate our kings.
Yeah. Like, I'm speechless.
Yes, correct. But yeah, so the nobles now gather in a secret council, and they decide on a new prince. This prince is Artabanus.
Ah, I know that name. Because we've had it before.
Yes, he's Artabanus the third, according to our podcast.
Okay.
The second, according to Wikipedia. the fourth according to others. We're going with the third. The Artabanuses have terrible numbering. But anyway. Who is this Artabanus? Well, he was an Arsacid prince, and he was a grandson of Phraates IV, no longer just a son, through a daughter.
Oh.
So Phraates had a daughter. This daughter went in marriage to a Saka prince, off in the east, and they had a child who was Artabanus. And Artabanus had recently become the king of Media Atropatene, which is a vassal kingdom in the sort of northwestern part of the empire. It borders Armenia, basically. So he's a vassal king already, so he's clearly proven that he can govern. He does have the support of the eastern families, because he is descended from a Saka prince. He is part of the royal line. Sure, it descends from a daughter, but fine. It's an elected monarchy. What are you going to do?
We'll give it a pass. Whatever.
Yes. So, hooray. In 9 AD, Civil War time.
Hey.
So, Artabanus strikes first, gathers up his army from his little kingdom, and marches off against Vonones. But our boy Vonones manages to win a very impressive victory against the usurper, and manages to push him back in the mountains of Media. However, there in Media, Artabanus is well protected enough with all these mountains, all these natural protections, that he can regroup his army and once more attack Vonones. And this next time, however, Vonones is defeated by Artabanus, who then takes the throne from him. And we're told that Vonones fled on horseback this time. He wasn't carried by other people, so a bit late now, Vonones, but better late than never. So he flees on horseback to Seleucia, takes some treasure, and then runs off into the wilderness. And shortly afterwards, Artabanus arrives in Seleucia and is crowned and proclaimed King of Kings in Ctesiphon in 12 AD. What do you think happened to Vonones now that he's off in the wilderness?
Oof.
Do you have high hopes?
Did a stray arrow magically lodge itself in his back?
Not really, Serial. It was actually very lucky. Because Vonones ran off into the wilderness, and he crossed the border off into Armenia.
Okay.
And it was just in those days that the Armenian king had been overthrown. And the nobles of Armenia were looking for a new king.
Oh my god, this is... This is so funny, wait. Yes. This is such a funny story, just like,
yes.
Oh look, what is that in the distance? It's a king coming to a town without a king. Oh my god, just what we... Like, is the joke... In which show was this that was like... Oh, it was in Phineas and Ferb. Like, do you think that a new king just will fall out of the sky?
Yes. Oh, look, a new king. Nice. Cue Vonones riding for his life into Armenia. So, yeah, all the Armenians think, okay, we wanted a king that was friendly to the Romans. Vonones was in Rome he was rejected for being too Roman, so sounds like a good candidate. Hi, Vonones. Do you want to be king of Armenia? Which point Vonones says,
so ridiculous.
Oh, okay, sure. Guess lost one kingdom, I can get another one. That's great, thank you. I approve of this.
So ridiculous, I'm losing my mind.
Also, since the Romans needed to approve whoever became king of Armenia, and Augustus personally knew Vonones, they had lived together for 15 years, Augustus rubber stamped and said, yep, perfect, you can be our king of Armenia. Love this.
I mean, the king of Armenia, not our king of Armenia, of course.
No, of course, Cyril. It would be ridiculous to think Rome has influence in foreign countries.
That is part of their policy to not do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Vonones manages to become a king of Armenia. He rules there for several years, and things seems to be going quite well, until Artabanus, the now king of Parthia, starts to get a bit nervous. Because he doesn't like the fact that there's a kingdom on his border with a guy that has a claim on his throne. Because if there are any internal troubles in Parthia, Vonones has a whole kingdom's worth of soldiers to just go and capture Parthia again. So clearly Artabanus is going to feel uneasy at the whole situation and want some changes. So he writes a strongly worded letter to the new Emperor Tiberius, saying, hey, it's cool that you can choose the king of Armenia, that's fine, but maybe choose someone else, because I don't like the fact that Vonones is there. I'd rather have someone else. Please.
He just got there. Nice. I swear.
And, well, do you think the Romans comply? Or do they say, screw you, it's our king?
I mean, they probably say screw you because it is convenient for them to have this as the king. So why would they,
Well, it seems that Tiberius was concerned enough by the possibility of a war with Parthia, in case of this diplomatic exchange went poorly, that he decided to replace Vonones. He said, okay, fine. Vonones was king of Armenia for 3 or 4 years.
Goodness.
We don't want to attack the Parthians right now, so Vonones, please leave the throne. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good time not being king anymore.
Why are we doing this? Poor Vonones. I mean, this is supposed to, he's already not the king of the Persian Empire. So, this is outside of,
oh yeah,
I mean, we're still reviewing his life,
past,
right?
But just getting to the end of his life. Yeah.
But he just cannot catch a break.
Yeah, no. You feel terrible for the guy. He was the eldest son of the king. Then he got exiled to Rome. Then got called all the way to Parthia. Got kicked out of Parthia. Got in Armenia. Got kicked out of Armenia.
Does he get a... Because so far we haven't talked about, anything he got to do. Did he get a chance to do anything?
Not really. He was just kicked out before he could really do anything.
I hate the nobles.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
That is the theme of Parthian history. I hate the nobles so much.
I still cannot believe that they were like, yeah, we'll let Rome choose our ruler. That's fine. That's a fine thing to do.
But no, apparently not. They're still not happy.
I hope they know in their long decomposed graves that history is judging them and that I hate them.
Oh yeah. The Parthian nobles really should just sit down and understand what's good for the nation and not just themselves, because they're very bad at doing that.
Well, I feel like, sadly, in our world, there's a lot of selfish people who will never see repercussions for their actions while they screw everyone over. So...
But there are some people who are actually trying to improve things.
Yeah, of course. And those are the ones that we should, let make the decisions.
Yeah.
Gee.
But no, this is not the case here.
Clearly.
So, now no longer protected by a crown, Vonones runs away from Armenia. And he flees all the way to the governor of Roman Syria in Antioch, where he is treated as an honored guest, and he is treated as a king. He is the king of nothing, but he is apparently treated as a king. So that's nice, I guess.
Do you get to feel special now? Do you want a badge?
Yes, he gets to wear a crown. He has nothing to rule over, but the crown's nice. And, well, the problem is that he still can't rest in Antioch. Because for a series of reasons we'll cover next time, there was a risk of war between Parthia and Rome. And the situation was being diffused, the peace talks were being made, but in exchange for peace, Artabanus, who is still king of Parthia, wanted Vonones to be removed from the frontier, so that if the nobles decided anything, Vonones couldn't just charge back across the border and make himself king. So maybe move him away. How does that sound? Also, we're not sure if it's true, but Artabanus was certainly claiming that Vonones was in contact with members of the nobility, sending letters to them, trying to convince them to take him back. So that would have made him uncomfortable as king.
Sure.
But yeah, so once again, the Romans decide that they don't want to have a war with Parthia. That would be not worth it. So, okay, fine. We'll transfer Vonones all the way to Cilicia in the city of Pompeiopolis, which is fun. Because remember Pompey, he was fun.
Let me guess who founded that.
Yes, our favorite Alexander fanboy. And well, in Cilicia, Vonones was in a house arrest, but it doesn't seem like it was that nice. He was starting to get uncomfortable and unhappy with the situation. So in 19 AD, he decided that he was going to make a break for it. He is off on a hunt with his guards. They're off in the forest, far away. And when he gets far enough, he bribes his guards to look away in another direction, and Vonones just rides off into the wilderness, running away from his Roman captors. The problem is that the news of him being away reaches the Roman prefect. The Roman prefect knows that there is one way out of there, and it's across a bridge. So he has the bridge torn down. So by the time Vonones arrives to the bridge, he sees that it is entirely unoccupied, and he can't make it across. He is screwed. At this point, Vonones is recaptured by his Roman guards, and since these guards are concerned that Vonones will tell their superiors that he bribed them and they went along with it,
oh boy.
Well, the guards take Vonones on another hunt, and in this hunt, he accidentally gets brutally murdered by a bunch of arrows. There was no way of seeing them. It was a very misty hunt. So thus ends the life of our poor beleaguered Vonones I. Any thoughts, Ariel?
None of this was his fault, really. I don't know, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, you feel like he didn't really deserve all the bad things that happened to him. He was also very lucky in the fact that he was just randomly chosen to become king of Parthia, and then he was randomly chosen to become king of Armenia.
Yeah.
But that luck didn't last very long for him, so yeah, it's not ideal. Not terrible, not great. So, yeah, are you ready to rate him, Sariel?
I mean, I guess. I'm so sorry for him.
Our first category is final moments. How interesting was his death?
Kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was basically failing a prison escape and then being murdered by his guards to avoid revealing the fact that they collaborated in the escape.
Yeah.
I feel like it's nice. We get some detail. Reasonably high, not terribly. I'm thinking around a 4. How about you?
Yeah, that seems fair,
because there's a murder, there's a bit of a story. Yeah. It's not super personal or super juicy, but it's solid.
Yeah.
You're matching with a 4 then?
Yep, I am.
So with a 4 and a 4, he gets a 4 out of 10 for final moments. Our next category is battle hardness. How good was he at war and fighting? He lost. I mean, no.
We don't know?
He sort of did something, because when Artabanus first rebelled...
He sort of didn't suck.
Vonones managed to defeat him once, but Artabanus then managed to regroup and take the throne. So he had at least one military success, which I think is worth a token point. Afterwards at Armenia, he gave up without a fight, and then afterwards he didn't really have enough control to do much military business, really. So I think I'm just going to stick for a token 1, because he won one battle at least. That's worth something.
I guess I'm going with you.
Are you not convinced?
I mean, that token point makes sense. Otherwise, yeah, he didn't do much and then he lost. I don't know. So...
Yeah, so you're sticking with the token point?
Yeah. I don't see any other,
fair enough.
reasoning.
Okay, so with a 1 and a 1, he gets a 2 out of 20 for battle hardness. Our next category is scheminess. How good was he at plots and manipulations? Maybe he was. So the only thing he has here going for him is that maybe when he was in Syria, he was sending letters to the nobles to try and get his throne back. That is an accusation of his rival, but he was considered dangerous enough by Artabanus that he had to be put in custody and sent away from the border.
Yeah.
So I think this might be worth something. We don't have any evidence for the fact that he did this, but I think, again, I'm expecting like a token point for the fact that even if he didn't, he was considered problematic enough that he might have done it. So, yeah, apart from that, there's not much else to discuss in his powers. So, yeah, I'm going for a 1. How about you?
Yeah, I don't think he did that, because then the nobles didn't like him anyway. So, like, I feel like if he did, they would have had more of a relationship, and he would have had more support, and they wouldn't have been so shocked.
But, you know, he was supported by some nobles on the first.
Nah, I don't think he did that.
Okay.
No.
Oh, fair enough. So with a 1 and a 0, he gets a 1 out of 20 for scheminess. Our next category is shock factor. How shocking was this man? Well, he was pretty shocking because he was just very Roman. Everybody disliked the fact that he was so Roman. He didn't wear pants.
How dare.
He couldn't shoot a bow. He couldn't ride horses. He didn't enjoy royal hunts. He didn't properly show respect to the nobles because, you know, Rome doesn't have nobles.
What respect?
They have an empire.
They don't deserve it.
So I think he was pretty shocking. There's nothing terribly impressive. Oh, I guess you could put in shock factor the fact that he just showed up in Armenia the day they dethroned their king. So good. Was like,
that is hilarious, actually.
I am your new king. I am your new management. So I do like that. I think that's very fun. And shock factor, I don't know if you want to put the fact that he tried a prison break. That might actually be more back in scheminess.
Sure. I mean, it wasn't a schemy prison break. It was like, I pay you, you get me out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to have the map of the prison.
I mean, maybe he did. We don't know.
Wait for the guard to, like,
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so his main shock factors are being way too Roman, just randomly becoming king of Armenia, and maybe breaking out of jail.
Yes.
Or, not really jail, it was more custody. He was allowed to go on hunts, so. I think it's worth something. I'm not crazy about it. I think I'm looking at a 4. I think 2 points for the being
4
too Roman,
seems
2
right.
points for the random Armenia.
4 seems right to me, so yeah.
Yeah, you're matching. So, yeah, I think with a 4 and a 4, he gets an 8 out of 20 for shock factor. Our next category is Aaron Shine. How good was he for the Empire in general and Iran in particular? He is in the chapter after Phraates IV, there were a series of short-lived rulers, and then the big king happened. You'll find out which the big king that happens
I
is.
forgot this. When you asked me, like, how do you think he's gonna do? I forgot that we were in a period of short-lived rulers.
Yeah.
I could have,
It's not great. Where, Musa deserves a lot more credit there, but...
Yes. Cowards.
We'll see how long Vonones reigned compared to Musa. You'll see that in lengthiness. But Aaron Shine, he didn't harm the Empire. He didn't improve the Empire.
Yeah.
Again, I'm wondering if... Because he definitely... Well, spoiler alert, he definitely ruled longer than Orodes, so he had time to do things.
I mean, that's not hard.
Yeah. So I don't know if he reigned long enough to give him, like, a standard 5 baseline for ruling. Because the Empire didn't do worse. I think I'm going to start with a baseline of 5. Remove 1 because he's overthrown. Remove 1 because he's setting a bad precedent as being a Roman puppet of Parthia. And remove 1 because he just didn't do much. So I think I'm going to stick with a 2. I think it's worth something because he could have just driven the Empire into a wall. And he didn't, but it's just meh. So, yeah, I think I'm going to aim for a 2. How about you?
Is it his fault or the nobles' fault that he set the precedent that Romans can just set our rulers?
I guess it is more the nobles' fault.
Yeah, thank you. He was, after all, the, supposed, actual ruler that was supposed to rule.
Oh, yeah, sure, but the Empire isn't doing great after him. Like, he could have broken with Rome as soon as he got
no, of
there
course.
and
I just
made more of a show. But yeah, no, the nobles definitely have a lot of the blame here for the Empire going worse. I mean, the nobles have the blame for all his demerits, the fact that he is overthrown and the fact that he is more of a Roman puppet there. If the nobles had organized this better, they would have had a better king. But yeah, so meh, but could have been worse. So what score are you thinking?
like a 3.
A 3? Okay, that's fair enough.
One more point, because I don't think it's his fault that the nobles were so stupid.
Okay, understandable. So yeah, with a 2 and a 3, he gets a 5 out of 20 for Aaron Shine. Our next category is Face of Faces. What do you think this man looked like? And here we'll find out what you think a Roman Parthian looks like.
Oh my god, right. Oh no, heck, help.
Okay, so Serial has finished their drawing. Let me pick it up and tell you all about our lovely, lovely Vonones. Ooh, this one's elaborate. Let me see.
It's not. It's a trick.
Yes. Well, we have 3 scenes. We have a man dressed in a toga with a nice long beard, long hair, and a diadem, which is our friend Vonones, and we see a litter, and he is being carried in this litter by 4 shadowy people, and he is pointing one direction, sending them there. He's pointing another direction, sending them another way. He's pointing a third direction, sending them again their way, and we see the cries of anguish of one of the litter bearers just begging Vonones to please just walk or just do something on his own. Because, come on, my dude, you could just ride a horse like everyone else. What are you doing? So, thank you, Serial. This is very nice. I especially like the way the toga looks. I know it was not easy.
Nah, don't look into it too much.
Nice. But yeah, so if you listeners would like to check this out, you can go in the episode notes that are in the description of our episode, or go onto our website into Serial's portrait gallery.
Or if you're a patron, you can also find it in our Discord.
Yes. And now, Serial, let me show you what Vonones actually look like, and you can tell me what you think. Here he is.
It's a guy.
Yeah,
it's a guy. Same as before. Yeah. It's a guy on profile. I still like the slight stylization of these coins, but same hairstyle, same diadem, same thing.
Yeah, he's a dude. He's not especially notable. He has the same long pointy beard, flowy hair.
Like a 1. I'm bored. Sorry.
Yeah. Is there anything at all?
No.
The diadem is a bit thicker than usual, but that's just
we
the
already
style
had
now.
That last time, yeah.
Yeah. He's a dude. Yeah. I agree. I think I'm going to go for a 1 as well. Because, it's the nth guy that looks this way. So, with a 1 and a 1, he gets a 0.5 out of 5 for Face of Faces. Our next category is lengthiness. How long do you think he ruled?
I mean, in going from one place to another and such, you said the first couple of years he wasn't even there, he was traveling, so
Yes. Those couple of years still count in his reign.
Yeah.
He was technically king.
5 years, I don't know, I feel like that's too much.
5 years, he actually ruled for a grand total of 6 years as king of Parthia and 3 to 4 years as king of Armenia. So he ruled longer than Musa, actually, by 1 year.
I mean...
Yeah. So he ruled from 6 AD to 12 AD. So he's still in a bunch of short-lived rulers. Who knows? Will Artabanus be the one that breaks the streak? Will he be the one that saves us all and rules for a long time and improves the empire, actually?
I guess we will find out.
Well, we'll find out next week. But anyway, with 6 years divided by 10, that gives us a 0.6 out of 5 for lengthiness. And that leads us to the total score, which is a total of 21.1 out of 100, which places him between Darius III and Seleucus IV, which is fair enough, I guess, Seleucus IV ruled for a while, but didn't do anything too flashy.
Yeah.
Darius III lost an empire, so Vonones it's fine.
It's okay. We can agree that it's fine.
Yeah, it's nothing that is huge, but yeah, it could have been worse, Vonones. Congratulations. Well, that leads us to the final question, which is to ask, is he travel enough?
This is not an adjective. Enough? Armenia is not an adjective.
Just pick one he'll do, fine enough. To be a Shahanshah, or is he just a Shahanah?
No, it wasn't that impressive or funny.
I feel like it's not close, but I think it has the seeds of something great, like the whole jumping back and forth and going to Armenia and running away constantly. That's fun.
Yeah.
I feel like we don't have enough detail for it to
like
be
it's a weird story, but like then nothing happened. He just went places and then he stopped. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, but it's not worth being remembered like everyone else. I think, yeah, he's close enough, but oh well. Sorry, Vonones, you're a Shahanah. You can go off into the desert and meet Orodes III and tell him, you were useless.
Yeah.
I wasn't great, but at least I did better.
But yeah, he wasn't great either, sadly.
So that is the end of today's episode. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you'll join us next time for Artabanus III. Is he the one that breaks the streak, or is he just another member of the short-lived rulers of this period? Who knows? In the meantime, if you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon, where you get access to a series of extra episodes, and you can even have the possibility to choose which extra episodes are going to be next. Right now, we're going to be going through a mini-series on Greek people who had to do with the Achaemenid Empire, so that's interesting, and that'll be fun. If instead you'd rather not support us monetarily, that's fine, but we'd also appreciate if you could give us a rating or a review on your podcast app of choice, because we love to hear those, and it makes more people know that
we have a thing
we
that
exist,
you can listen
so
to.
That's always cool. Also, following up on last time,
yes,
we have joined Blue Sky, so if you want to follow us there, please do. It's fun and not horrible yet, so that's good. But yeah, so that's all from me, really, and we hope you have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.